Welcome to Kung Fu Hot Dog, the channel that makes President Donald Trump giddy with excitement.
I'm gonna come.
Last night, ladies and gentlemen, it was breaking news. I'm not talking about Mark Hamill's trousers coming down at the BAFTA Awards. That was pretty funny, folks. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, here is that glorious moment.
So what makes us love cinema so much that we're all gathered here to celebrate tonight? For me, it's that films create worlds so vivid and stories so powerful that we lose ourselves in them completely. They create immersive cinematic landscapes that feel alive, whether they're set here in London or anywhere.
Oops, Hamill did it again. I remember a time when Justin Lee Collins, before he became a disgraced man for British television, made a TV show called Bring Back Star Wars and wanted Mark Hamill to be on the show. But what did Hamill do in his infinite sleazy wisdom? Wanted to charge JLC £50,000 for a less than 10 minutes appearance on his show. Guess what? They ignored his request and moved straight on. NetEase, or do we call them NetSleaze at this point? I have to admit my thumbnail was quite the clickbaiter right there. But when you look into it a bit more, you have to understand. Now, what am I talking about, you might be asking? Well, the people behind Marvel Rivals, well, 6 of those folks in the Seattle component of the bigger structure of NetEase were all Colombian necktied last night, it seems. And there's a bit of traction going around, like what's really happened. NetEase apparently has this awful track record for doing this to big franchises. Once they get off the ground, they go in and they do a bit of culling and get rid of people who were deemed now expendable. I'm not talking about Jason Bateman, or rather Statham, or even Sylvester Stallone. No, so I'm actually going to be on the same point of view as Kyle, the Jamaican brother from another mother in America, because he had a very similar point to what I'm going to talk about now, which is basically, is business as usual, and will this affect the actual game of Marvel Rivals in months or years to come? I think no. And yes, while NetEase is a Chinese company which might have CCP dealings or has that ideology, you got to look at the bigger strokes here, folks. The bigger painting, the bigger canvas of what there is still to come from China.
Silence! Idiot! A cheap trick!
So on Reddit, I had to look this up actually, like what is the problem with NetEase? So they're talking about Project Mugen here, and this Redditor says, I saw a lot of people getting worried that the game is published by NetEase. Why do they get such a bad rap? Now somebody's responded here by saying they just have a terrible track record of publishing fairly decent games from smaller studios, sometimes great concepts, and not lifting a finger to properly market the games and let them die, leaving players with a bad taste in their mouths. The only game they really care for is their own IP on the OG. Hopefully they do something different with Mugen. So here we are, folks, at SteamDB. If I had my way, I would call it Steam Double D. So Marvel Rivals, look at that. It is number 4 in the positions that I'm checking out right now. 24-hour peak, 318,993 players. I mean, that's pretty incredible. So do you think those players care that some people were removed from Seattle? The harsh reality is, no, they're not. They just want to play the game. And over on Insider Gaming, of course, they jumped in, gave their own 1, 2, 3 about what was happening. And Thaddeus Sasser, and I spoke about that guy last year, how he said, well, the problem with games like Concord and Dustborn, they're not successful because, guess what? They're just crap video games. They might have had an interesting concept, but the art design and the forced messaging is what drove would-be gamers away. People that might be wanting to tinker around with the game to see what it would be like. So it's funny how he's quoted as being the guy who says, yes, it's a very strange industry. He wrote right here, my stellar, talented team just helped deliver an incredibly successful new franchise in Marvel Rivals for NetEase Games. And we were just laid off. Based on his wording, it's unclear if Sasseur was included in the layoffs or if it was just his team. Insider Gaming reached out for comment, but Sasseur declined. And the reason why he declined, because NetEase obviously stepped in and just told him just to, whoa, bro, pump the brakes. Now, Grum's on Twitter, who's got better insider knowledge than many of the mainstream legacy media people out there. And yes, Grums is very questionable as well because there's a game that he's been developing for several years. He's raised $700,000 from it, but yet hasn't given anybody the benefit of the doubt about what the game actually looks like. But you know, that's neither here or there, but this is his statement on the current situation regarding the layoffs for Marvel Rivals. It's wild to see the Marvel Rivals thing he spun out of proportion by legacy media in real time. The impact seems far less than they are reporting. Here's what we know. 6 people were laid off in the US division of NetEase. Marvel Rivals core director is still there. His name is Guangyan Chen, and he does all the same design and vision updates on their YouTube channel. The game director let go from the US office, whose LinkedIn post you see everywhere, is Thaddeus Sasseur. In his own words on his podcast interview, he states Chen, the creative director, was in charge of the creative vision, while he himself handled budget and the manpower. This looks like a simple reorganization and a tiny trim of staff, not the core-shaking development Kotaku and others are trying to make out to be. We will know soon enough, but right now, these are the facts so far. And that's the gentleman he's talking about. And by the way, folks, you have to remember as well, whatever design concepts that the Seattle office were responsible for, it belongs to NetEase. So this is a press release that NetEase just issued. Marvel Rivals development team structure for organizational reasons and to optimize development efficiency for the game. This resulted in a reduction of a design team based in Seattle that is just part of a larger global design function in support of Marvel Rivals. We appreciate the hard work and dedication of those affected and will be treating them confidentially and respectfully with recognition for their individual contributions. We want to reassure our fan base that the core development team for Marvel Rivals, which continues to be led by lead producer Waikong Wu and game creative director Guangyan Chen in Guangzhou, China, remains fully committed. Because they want to make a buck, right? They absolutely do. So you're still going to get probably Blade, some more sexy female creations in due course, or should that be double D due course? And I think that should be maybe applauded. I know I might have a bad take today regarding that, folks, and that's okay. But like with all bad takes, I just won't apologize for it because it is what it is. But the way mainstream media are cutting this, it's like, oh my gosh, NetEase, Chinese company, absolutely terrible. I may want to remind you folks, and even though I've seen Kyle's video already, I was still planning to say this part on my video. We still have some great games from China to come out this year and next year. Okay, you've got Onimusha, you've got Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers, and of course, saving the breast for last, Tides of Annihilation, which by the way, is not a woke game. Some people have been saying it's woke because you got a female boss, a protagonist called Gwendolyn, who's got to stop a equally busty blonde sister, Mordred, from doing bad things. The reason why I call that game of the effing century, because they're mixing modern day London with Arthurian King Arthur legendary spectacle, which I think is an absolute wonderful mix, like Final Fantasy 16, although that was set in a more legendary time as opposed to a modern time, if I remember that correctly. So yes, we can boo and hiss at NetEase, but at the end of the day, folks, what's China giving us? Beautiful female characters, RPGs that are meant to be RPGs. What's the West offering us? Oh, dog shit like Avowed, where Paris Lily likes to shill around and wear his freebie mask that he got from Matt Hansen, because of course someone like Paris Lily would be on the side of Matt Hansen, who wants to eradicate Western gaming of crusty old white dudes and bring in untalented, diverse people who have no idea, no clue how to code a game together. But on that one, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video today and my hot take bukkake, leave a like below, smash that subscribe button. And if I were you, and if you were me, and if you were her, you might want to return for the next video.
So what makes us love cinema so much that we're all gathered here to celebrate tonight? For me, it's that films create worlds so vivid and stories so powerful that we lose ourselves in them completely.